There we go.
Feeding the ducks.
Feeding the ducks. All right, good morning. Good morning. It is Social Surge with Fly and Mo. We are now live on the gram. So good morning to the gram fam.
Bam. Here we go. Live. Here we are. I'm joined.
Okay, I'm loving the swag.
You can't beat a personal brand like your dogs.
Good morning, Regalata Real Estate. Thanks for joining us over on the gram. We appreciate you. It is Social Surge with Fly and Mo.
I have too many white hats, actually.
All right, people, you heard her. Swagalicious people. She needs color. She needs color in her life.
Well, it's just I'm probably not gonna get. I'm probably not gonna get it messy. Do you know what I mean? But like a white hat is still a statement, you know, and it's good and it's great. But actually, they do have it. Chris does have it. Also, you can see them popping through the white. Chris does have it in black, and I do have the limited edition orange as well from Guns and Grits. But it's like a little variety. It's good. But yeah, I mean, like, it's clean. You know what it is. You immediately, Allison is here live. What? You immediately think of Chris. Like, it's good, right? So I thought, in the spirit.
Good morning, Allie Chan. Thanks for joining us on LinkedIn. What are you doing up so early?
Right.
All right. So today we are talking about interest media. So Gary Vaynerchuk and Mari Smith. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Mari Smith. She is kind of the queen of Facebook.
You did. You share. You have been sharing some stuff with me, and I had not actually been familiar with her before, but she's got some really interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, she's the queen of Facebook. Has been for many, many years. She has done all things marketing for Facebook, and she actually is probably one of the first social media influencers besides Gary Vaynerchuk that I started following.
Yeah.
Because she had such great information about how to market on Facebook and how to talk to your audience, and like this was all the stuff. So I ate it up. I actually paid for her courses and her classes before.
Nice.
But both of them over the last probably few weeks, Gary probably more than Mari, are talking about that social media is dead. Now, no, I mean, like, literally both of them are saying that social media is dead. Interest media is what's happening and playing out across our For You pages. So it got me thinking, and it's like, okay, so what are they talking about? And in fact, if you can, Gary Vaynerchuk has a slide deck available on his website somewhere. I forget what the slide deck, what the name of it is. I'll probably link it. And if I don't, just DM me and I'll send it to you because I'll probably forget. But the slide deck is all about interest media. It's like 50 some odd pages of how to grow your personal brand on social. And if we're really looking at it, especially for commercial real estate brokers, yes, I do realize that a lot of you are with the large brokerage firms, but you need to grow your personal brand in the event that you should decide to leave. What happens? What does it mean if you decide to change platforms, right? So what is interest media? So the way it's easiest to explain, when you're on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, you don't always see the videos of like your friends, right? Like YouTube, not as much, but especially TikTok and Instagram. And I think a little bit too of LinkedIn. What you're seeing is you're instead seeing content of what you like.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe when you're on TikTok, I've actually talked about this before when I'm talking about your For You page. So, and this goes for X too. So, I mean, I'm kind of crossing platforms here, but if you think about it, so when I got on Twitter, I was in country music radio. So my entire feed was filled with industry news and I had industry connections. When I switched over to straight up social and marketing, then it changed my feed. And now that it's part of commercial real estate and I interact a lot with commercial real estate people, my feed is generally all commercial real estate, with the occasional like political BS that pops in there. And then I'm the type of person that I click on the three dots or whatever. Oh no, it's going to start tracking me. I click on the three dots. I know, right? And I actually will like, I don't want that. I don't want to see this on my feed.
Yeah,
I will
do not show. Mute. Not interested. All
of these. Hold on. Let me move my
swipe
camera.
left. Yeah, right. And we do, and we've talked about this a couple of times, and it's a conversation that comes up is that you need to train your feed. You can train it for what you don't want to see, but it is way more powerful and responds, across algorithms. I think, yes, 100% this, to the more you engage with it, with someone or something, a topic, whatever, like you will see more of that.
Right. And so it's going to show you what you're interested in, not just what your friends are doing. You can even look at Facebook now, right? Facebook is showing you more of what you are, if you're on Facebook, is showing you more of what you're interested in, what you're clicking on, what is most likely to get you to react to something than your friends. And maybe your friends are boring. So I mean that could be the entire thing right there. So interest media is in, social media is dead. And this is the content that's based on what you like, not who you know. So instead of asking who posted this, you're going to be asking, is this interesting to me? Right? Is this interesting to me? So what does it mean when we're working in commercial real estate? We've been talking about this a lot. Like, you can't just post property flyers and just listed and just sold and expect that to grow your personal brand. People want and are nosy. So if we look at the number one behavior, I know I've talked about this before, and so I'll mention it again, but when we think about society and we think about, it was the front porch, right? Everybody was out on their front porch in the neighborhood, and everybody was paying attention to what the other kids were doing, and they were paying attention to what their neighbors were doing. They're on the front porch. Well, the internet brought us inside, and we're no longer on the front porch. Now we're being nosy through the feeds, right? We're being nosy on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, because we want to see what our neighbors are doing. We want to know what's happening. So when we're talking about commercial real estate and we're talking about marketing and we're talking about branding and personal brands, how are you going to create content that is interesting enough for people to stop scrolling? Well, we've seen it happen all over the place. I mean, so we trot out Zach Molzer a lot, right? But there's a reason why, because his content will actually stop the scroll. One, it's entertaining. It always hits the 3 E's, right? It's entertaining, it's educational, and it's engaging. Like, you want to engage with his content because it's funny, or he's always doing something like kissing a wall, or or saying homage wrong.
Yeah, because he's a goofball, right? He's a total goofball. And also he's a total killer. You know what I mean? Like, he's crushing it, right? And so he's been able to document his process, like show his personality, like invite people in. And I do, and like for the history nerds, like it's really there's more to it, like, than just his silly little meme life, right?
The speakeasy content that he just came out with was fantastic. I was like, wow, that's super fat. Like, again, so if you haven't seen the video, he's talking about the speakeasy that they had at the Aladdin, and he gives a history lesson about it. Now, they're not going to bring the speakeasy back. They're going to have a bar at the top. But again, it's going to have remnants, history from that time that they found in the Aladdin. and it's going to be there. So it's going to be like almost like a mini museum, right? For you to be able to see exactly what's on, what it used to be like. And I think that's really, really cool. And so he's bringing you on that journey, right? Who else is really killing it when it comes to, I'm actually thinking about like, Ron Koenigsberg.
Yeah. Actually, I almost put his hat on. It's right there. Yeah, I mean, so many things that he is doing. So like if you just want to like look at those two case studies in comparison, like I think that there is a higher barrier to entry for something like what Zach is doing, right? Like he has a director of brand. They're like going super hard on video content. It's, you know, I know that the high production video stuff like is less accessible for more people, right? That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. However, yes, I love this. And great, also applicable to Ron, right? So Ron, I think, is a fantastic example of something that you could start doing super low lift, is talking about your experiences and showing your face. Like every single post that Ron does is a picture of his face. And I know that that's also like for some people, they're like the objections they have around that is like, I don't want to look like I'm vain. Like, I don't like how I look. So I'm not going to post a picture. It's like, he is so recognizable. Like I could walk into a room and if he was in there, I would know exactly who he was and all about his story, exactly what he does, who he helps, how he thinks, like all of those things, because that is what he's jamming like his content full of, right?
Right. And he shares his struggles. So like, you know, if you've read through any of his content, you know that he was dyslexic or that he is dyslexic and how that's affected his career and his life. And you know, he talks about his struggles and what happened with his divorce. And he talks about like, so he is being very open and honest and transparent. And I think for a lot of people, that is super relatable, right? When you are open, honest, and transparent, like when we talk about, well, like for example, the love letter that I wrote to my son in the graduating class of 2025. One of those things is you're going to eat shit. It's true, right? Like when you're starting a career, when you're getting started in life, you're going to have to realize that, you know, you're going to eat shit. And it's going to suck, but you're going to like grab some sack and suck it up and be like, okay, that this is how I'm going to learn. This is how I'm going to get better. Or, you know, the flip side of that is like, I don't ever want to be treated like this again. So I'm going to make sure that I'm not this type of person. So when, and I've had people send me DMs and they're like, I like absolutely love what you wrote because it's true. I'm going to send this to my kid. Like, oh no, you know, or comments of like, you know, I've told this exact stuff to my own child and they're not listening. So maybe they'll listen now. So it's being open, it's being honest, it's being transparent. It's allowing us to be part of your journey, right? So Interest Media.
This morning.
Yeah, good morning, Danielle, and good morning, Dwayne. And Danielle has a book called WTF. I just purchased it. I can't wait to dive in.
Nice.
And the whole reason I wanted to buy it is that, one, she was on Allison's podcast, so I listened to that. Sometimes it's turn to eat a shit sandwich. Yes. Well, and so I also made that comparison yesterday in another conversation I had is like, you can't give someone a shit sandwich and then be upset that they have shit on their hands. Like if you're, anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But so Danielle has a book called WTF. It's Women That Flourish. It's also for Men That Flourish. Great. I haven't jumped into it yet. So, but I would just want to say that the reason why I wanted to pick that up is one of the things that she said is WTF stands for what's the fix? And
I love that.
Right? I love that. What's the fix? because a lot of times you can go, and I'm going off topic right now, but interest media, right? Interest media, that was a stop the scroll moment for me, right? Versus social, it was what's the fix? And a lot of times when we see challenges and issues within an organization or within our own systems and processes, we need to actually take solutions versus just complaining about the problem, right?
Yeah.
What's the fix? How do we fix this? How do we get over this? So anyway, I hope you pick up Danielle's book. Oh yeah. Wow, that's fabulous. I love that.
It's endless. It's just evergreen. Just keep putting words in there.
So we're talking about, if you're just joining us, we are talking about interest media. Gary Vaynerchuk and Mari Smith are saying that social media is dead. Interest media is in. And you really have to start looking at your content to see, is this interesting? Is it helpful? Is it entertaining? Again, the 3 E's: education, entertainment, and is it engaging? And so what do you do for interest media, right? So what is interest? How do you stop the scroll? How is it going to work for you? One, you need to know who you're creating your content for. That's huge. Are you creating your content for you, or are you creating your content for your target audience? Unfortunately, this is one of those things where it's do as I say, not as I do, because a lot of times I do create content for me, stuff that makes me laugh or stuff that I see. I do manage to get it to a place where it can be beneficial to my audience.
Sure.
But a lot of times it's because of stuff that just cracks me up, right? Like that's my mindset. And
yeah,
I'm sure
okay. I see you do that a lot on X and maybe in your Instagram stories, right? And so they are public facing.
Yep.
However, like, I would push back a little bit and say that there is something healthy about having that in the ecosystem, because once again, people are going to do business with you because of who you are. Yes, what you can deliver, all of the features, right? But at the end of the day, you know, everything is commoditized, whether you're a broker, whatever part of the business that you serve, right? So if everybody can sell a building, if everybody can hit post, no, it's not true. Not everybody can do all of those things, but you know what I'm saying? Like the tools and the functions are executable by all people. Really what it comes down to is who you are as a person. Like, people are going to do business with you more because of that. And so it's like finding ways to articulate that and be present like that is cool. But like, is it centering you? Is it about you? Is it for you? Yes. You don't want to necessarily, you can't build an entire brand off of that.
Correct. Yes. I mean, I'm not a shock jock. So that's, that's absolutely correct. So like, if you were to go to my Instagram is pretty unhinged, not with the content that I put out, but with my stories. My stories are just like, stories are very much, very personal, very profane. There's stuff on there that you're just like, damn, I didn't realize that she was going to go there.
I love it when you do, every time you do, because you actually don't. You're very restrained. I was like, if people really knew, they would understand that you are actually quite restrained.
As she thinks back to the tweet that I sent both her and Allison that I did not post.
I know. There's so much archived content. But no, I mean, like, look, because you also do talk a lot about what you're doing and how you help people and bring value into the content, right? It's not necessarily all, it's not your only pillar. Now, I see people, you know, who make all of their content is about them. All of their content has this kind of energy of like, you know, pick me, look at me, all those kinds of things. Like, there's a huge difference between showing up and being like, look at me versus learn from me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, the energy between look at me, the pick me, and it could be a guy too, but the phrase is a pick me girl, right? Pick me, versus, hey, this shit just happened and it's freaking hilarious and I want to share it with you. Don't make this mistake. Um, and Allison said that we both model being authentic, and humor is a big part of our personalities. And I just want to say, yep, it's a trauma response, so it's all good. Okay. Anyway, so now lead with value, not inventory. I love this. Lead with value. We talk all the time. Storytelling. You can do your just listed and just sold and blah 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 blah. If you do it with a story, and we've talked about the CART, which is a Massimo thing, challenge, action, result, testimonial.
So
and
good.
it's the framework for a story, a really good story, right? You, and going to StoryBrand, you are the guide and your client is the hero, and you help them create a win. Talk about it in that perspective, that they were the the main character in your story, not you. Here's a couple of content ideas that I wrote down. Behind the deal, how we helped a coffee shop find a new home, right? And that can be used for anything. Market Monday, what's driving rates in, or what's the main driver of building sales in whatever city. You use that formula for storytelling, and I guarantee you're going to get people that are interested. Now, I do have a caveat for this. Do not write challenge and then action. It actually has to be a story. So you can use the framework like that. Yes, please do. But now you actually have to write the story. So this might challenge some of you folks, right? Because maybe you weren't a good storyteller in school. But I will push back on my own thing and say you can do that. But once you have the framework done, open up, your voice memo record your
100%.
voice as you tell the story. Then you're going to take that transcript and you're going to put it into ChatGPT. And hopefully you know what a custom GPT is, and you've already created a custom GPT for yourself. And if you haven't, you absolutely need to. And if you need help with that, I'm sure you can DM me or Fly, and we'll give you tips on how to do that. But the fact of the matter is, you can take that content. It's never been anywhere on the internet before because it's your story. And it's going to be in your voice, tone, and style. So for a little hack for you is when you do that and you put your transcript into ChatGPT or whatever language model you want to use, what you're going to put is analyze this transcript for tone, style, and voice. And it'll actually give you an analysis based off of the transcript. And you can also put more identifiers in there, like this is Mo with Movo Media Marketing, blah, 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 blah. But it really will help create content that's more in your voice. And then you actually have a story because it came from you. It's a story that you told. You're going to end up adding little bits in there that you would not have written down on paper, right? Maybe something triggers something and you remember, oh, that's right. When they showed up, they were looking for 2,000 square feet. And then they realized that they could move into something larger based on da, 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 da. Right. So, I mean, there's different ways that you can tell the story. The next thing that I want to recommend when we're talking about interest media, not social media, is choose one platform that you actually like being on. Clearly, Fly, Allison, myself, we're on a lot of platforms, and we have continuous conversations across multiple platforms. So we have group chats. We're we're kind of busy on all of them, and that's fine. If you're not a social media junkie like we are, then choose one platform and learn it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody always asks me, what platform should I be on? I'm like, what platform do you like? I don't like any of them. All right, well then be on LinkedIn.
I mean, it's real, but it's like, yeah, what platform do you like, and where are the people that you're trying to reach?
Yep.
And like, if you can identify those two things, and it, like, you know, we've talked about before, like if those two things are out of alignment, like you gotta lift, you gotta meet the day.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have not identified who your avatar is, if you haven't identified who your target audience is and who you're actually talking to, then you need to step back and go, okay, why am I pounding my head against a brick wall trying to get this content out when I can't even identify who I'm actually talking to, right? And I do think that's a big issue. I do think that a lot of people have challenges with their content because they actually don't know who they're talking to. Am I talking to other brokers? Am I talking to investors? Am I talking to owners? Who is my audience? Who am I actually trying to reach? And if who you're trying to reach is a particular audience, think about the questions and the conversations that you're having with your clients. That answers that question right there. What are they asking you when you get on the phone with them? What do they want to know? What are their concerns? Because that's exactly who you should be talking to, especially if you want to bring more of those people into your I don't know, sphere of influence, I guess.
Sure.
The other thing that we need to talk about is, and I think this is super, super important because we can get caught up in the metrics and we can get caught up in the notoriety, but you should be creating for curiosity, not for applause. Create for curiosity. There's a lot of people who want to know what your business is, what you're doing. And here, and you need to repeat your message over and over and over again.
Over and over again.
And I bring this up, and I've mentioned this before, but Bob Knackel and I were talking about the fact that he had a client that reached out to him that had received an email, and the email had something to say about like how many buildings Bob has sold. And he was like, I didn't know you sold that many buildings.
That's crazy.
To us who are on social, who are on social all the time, of course, like I think most people could probably
nobody is looking as closely as you are at your own stuff.
Correct.
Like, that's and we also know, I think the number has increased now, but it's in the double digits. It's in the double digits how many times you need to get in front of somebody before like they're going to transact.
Right.
It's, you know, unless you have like a serious referral, you know what I mean? Because that also happens too. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, that you never, people don't want to take up space, which is insane to me. Like the whole, you know, Jeb Blount in Fanatical Prospecting talks about the fact that it's like, it is your job to interrupt people and get their attention.
Yep.
You know, and so like, you cannot make yourself smaller. You just can't. I don't know. Right. Yeah, 100%. That was a bar. I don't know if you everybody clocked my reaction. Be like, that was really.
Allison says it's also a T-shirt.
Also a T-shirt. Yes, but it's like. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say, but that's the thing. Like, you're so in the weeds and so close to what you're so in the weeds and so close to what you do, you forget that your target audience doesn't know all these things. Right? So keep repeating the message. You might get sick of it, but if you don't repeat the message, they're not going to know. And they're not. So Allison says 711-4. If you do not know what these numbers are, highly suggest you DM Allison. Allison will let you know. I know what they are. I'm not going to tell anybody. You don't know.
I don't know what these are.
711-4.
Are they yumbers? We have some.
They're yumbers. Yes, they are yumbers.
Okay.
So DM Allison to get what those numbers are. And she actually has a PDF, I believe, that talks about that very thing that she can share with you.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah,
and
I
so
know what we're talking about now.
Yes. I don't want to give it away because I want them to contact her and be like, okay, what does this mean? 711-4. But it's when we're talking about getting in front of our target audience, remember that your audience changes a lot. So stuff that you posted 6 months ago can be recycled and posted again. It's not the same audience. And you're going to get people that you'll get a couple of people like, oh, I remember you already shared this story. Yep. But I've already gained, 1,000 to 2,000 new followers. They haven't seen this story. They're not freaks like me and Fly who will go through somebody's entire feed.
It's
looking
research.
It's research. Yes. But yeah, I mean, I will go through like somebody's entire feed to see what kind of content they had been posting or what they've been doing before. So last but not least, and we got to wrap this up, talk like a human, be human on social, especially if you want to be in interest media. You absolutely need to, be human, which is why we put faces on stuff, which is why video is so important, because we connect with human. And especially when we're talking about AI and people are very, very worried about AI and jobs and blah, blah, blah. Your job, particularly in sales, because let's be honest about this whole thing, it's all sales. You're selling yourself to be able to get the client to come in. And so your face is super important to drag them in, to drive them in, right? And so you need to be human. You need to talk so that they understand you. I love what Dr. J.J. Peterson said at the last CREI summit, which was huge for me. Your expertise level is at a 10. And you know that you need to dumb it down. So you dumb it down to a 5. But your client is at a 2.5.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that you're here and they're here. How are you going to make that work so you can bridge that gap of knowledge? You have to be able to talk like a human.
If I could say one thing about all of this, it would be, what are you like when you go to the happy hour? How do you talk when you're at the happy hour? And who do you listen to when you're at the happy hour? And if you can tell the kind of stories that would captivate an audience and interest people in that situation, in that voice, and just lifted that up and put that and that's your content, you would get so much farther than if you just showed up with listings, results, and market insights.
Love that.
And that's the playbook that everybody wants to run when they start this. And are those things important? Sure, 100%. But that's not really who you are. Who you are is the person who is in that room being interested in people, and then possibly also sharing things with them that are interesting as well, right? That is the old school way of how relationships were built and how business got done. And it is actually no different than what we see working online. We just have all the tools of media, photography, AI, copywriting, all that stuff, right? But at the core of it, the kind of things that you say when you're at those kinds of events that captivate people, that get people to want to do business with you, the way that you share those stories, that's what's up. I don't know.
I gotta say, no notes. That was perfect. No notes. Last but not least, we're gonna leave this before we head out because we're going long. Dwayne says, I've learned to mix fun and data-driven content. The fun draws them in, but the content has them reply to my text and pick up the phone. And that's what you want. Right there.
Exactly.
Chef's kiss.
No notes on Dwayne. Also, Dwayne's been digging up some stuff from the archives.
I know. Did you see, was it today's or yesterday's when it was from, I think it was from 2000.
With the phone?
No, I'm talking about
I haven't seen any new. We got a new Dwayne drop? All right. We got to go.
The Dwayne drop. There we go. All right, everybody. We'll see you back here on Tuesday at 6 a.m. I almost said 5:30. Whoops. 6 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Central, and of course, 9 a.m. Eastern. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon. Bye.